Art Time with Mrs. Jones. Today's activity is going to be really fun. We're going to be creating some shapes and turning those shapes into forms using value. So whenever you're ready, get yourself a paper and a pencil and we will get started. All right guys, we are going to get started today with a blank piece of paper and a pencil. That is all that you will need today. We're going to be drawing 4 two-dimensional shapes, which are flat shapes that appear flat when you look at them on your paper. We're going to draw a circle, an oval, a square, and a triangle. Let's go ahead and get started with those now. In this top corner, I'm going to go ahead and start with my circle. So for a circle, you're going to start at the top and you're going to curve your hand around, making the letter C. We don't want to just move our whole hand and get all crazy with it. We want to keep our hand still or our wrist still and use our fingers and our wrist a little bit to make that C shape. So we're going to start at the top and see our way over. Now this shape is in a lot of the letters that we use every day to write with. It's in the letter A, it's in the letter C, it's in the letter E. It's in a lot of letters we make this shape right here. So our fingers really need to get used to making that C shape. Then you come back up to the top and we're gonna make a backward C. And this is the same shape that we use for the letter B or P. So we're gonna be very familiar with making this shape in the future as well. So we'll start at the top and we'll make our backward C. And we come around and we have our circle. Now it's not perfect, it's a little bit lumpy right here, but that's fine because we're gonna be shading on this later and we'll even out anything that we don't necessarily love about our shape. But we're not looking for perfect, we're looking for identifying that this is a circle. Now underneath this circle, we're gonna go ahead and move on to an oval. Now an oval is a squashed circle. So it looks like maybe Wreck-It Ralph came and wrecked it and he stepped on it and he made it all squashy. So right under here, we're gonna make an oval and it's important that we draw it sideways like this. So it really looks like it's been squashed this way. Have it up a little high because we are gonna be drawing some stuff underneath this later. So we're drawing a squashed circle, which we call an oval. And this is that right here. Now up here in this corner, we're gonna be drawing a square. Now when you're drawing a square, it's a 4-sided object and all of the sides are the same length. So you wanna make sure that you are paying attention to how long you're drawing each side and try to draw each side the same length. And you can feel that whenever you're drawing by kind of counting with it and making sure you have a beat or a pattern as you're drawing. So we'll go down 1 and 2, over 1 and 2. I like to come back up and draw 1 and 2, down 1 and 2. It's easier for me to see what I'm doing when I'm drawing from left to right instead of coming up and coming over this way. You can draw it in an even one stroke if you'd like, or if you're left-handed, you might even want to draw from right to left so that you can see what you're doing. But we have a square here that has all 4 sides roughly about the same length. Again, it's not perfect, but that's okay. The last shape that we're going to draw is a triangle. And there are a lot of different ways that you can draw a triangle, but for today's lesson, we're going to draw one that looks like this. We'll start at the top, we'll come down, start at the top again, and come down, and then we'll go straight across the bottom. So it kind of looks like an ice cream cone or a party hat. This is a triangle which has 3 sides and 3 points. Now press pause, practice these shapes, and then when you're ready to press play, we'll turn them into our 3-dimensional shapes. All right, friends, so if you are back, that means you are ready and you feel pretty certain that you are a professional circle, oval, square, and triangle drawer now. So we're gonna move on to our three-dimensional upgrade of these shapes. We're going to make them into a form. So for the circle, we are not going to draw any other lines. We are just going to shade this. Now I am going to pretend that there is a light shining right here on my paper, a little sunshine coming right here. So everything that I draw from here on out is going to depend on a light shining right here on my paper. If you want to draw a little light, you can, but you don't have to. So for this shape, if the light is shining right here on this sphere, we're going to make it a sphere. Then on this side, pretend it's a ball. This side of the ball would not be getting any light shining on it. We're going to start by shading this side of the circle. Now I am turning my pencil on the side and holding it at the very back of the pencil. And this helps me not to push very hard because I don't want to have a bunch of scribble scrabble sharp lines on there. I want it to be very light and very shaded. Now as we are getting closer to the center of this circle, we're going to lift up and not press as hard. This is going to make the shade lighter the closer we get to that center of the circle. This is called value. So as we have a lighter and lighter pencil shading, the value is getting lighter and lighter, and it makes it look like the light is wrapping around this sphere just a little bit, and it's not quite reaching this back side. This should look a little bit familiar because we did something similar in our Zentangle when we shaded those little circles to make it look like they were coming off of the paper, to make them look a little bit 3D or a little bit like a form. But we are going to shade this and give it value so that it looks like a sphere. So the light is shining here, leaving this side white, and it is not shining on this side, making this side darker. All right, so now we're going to move on to this oval and make it into a cylinder. So again, the light is shining down on the top of this oval. I am going to draw 2 lines coming down each side. Now we want these to be the same size, so I'm going to do what I did on the square, and I'm going to count as I draw down. 1 and 2, lift up, come over here, 1 and 2. That should make them about the same length. Now I want to match this side of my oval, so I'm going to draw half of an oval down here and connect. So the top is rounded and the bottom is rounded. Now, as I said before, the light is going to be shining down on the top, so we're not going to shade this top oval at all, but we are going to be shading down here the most, just like this sphere is shaded down here the most. So our darkest shading is going to be in this back corner, and we're going to shade a little bit more firmly toward the back of the cylinder, and then get lighter and lighter the closer to the center that we go. So again, we are adding value here. All right, now we're gonna move on to the cube. So we're gonna take this square here and make it look like a cube. So this one, we are going to be drawing quite a few lines to create. We're gonna draw 3 diagonal lines, and we want these to be the same length and the same angle. So watch as I do this before you try it yourself. I'm going to do what I've done before by counting 1 and 2, and I'm going to make sure that I pick up my hand and move my arm so that the angle that my hand is doing is exactly the same each time. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Notice they are all going in the same direction here. I'm going to connect these lines with horizontal line here, 1 and 2, and a vertical line here, 1 and 2. So this square has now become a cube. Now from here, we're going to shade it. This is where the light is coming from. So this top part is not going to get any shading because it's getting most of the light. This front side is going to get a little bit of shading, and this back side, back as in the back of the light, is going to get the most amount of shading. So I'm going to shade this side evenly. Again, I'm using the side of the pencil, trying to make it look nice and smooth without having any stripes in there. This front section here, I'm going to shade a little bit lighter than that. And then the top I am not shading at all. So for this last shape, we are going to need to erase a little bit. On the cylinder, you can see that this bottom line is rounded to show that it is a circle on the top and a circle on the bottom. Well, on a cone, the bottom is a circle. So I'm going to erase this line here. And I'm going to match this curve here on this, what was a triangle, and now is a cone. So this cone now needs to be shaded. Again, we're looking at where this light is shining from. This side is going to be completely white, and this side is going to be shaded. So I'm going to put my pencil on its side, and I'm going to start shading. Now, I'm going to do a very slight curve of my hand as I'm coming this way. So I'm sideways in a diagonal shade, and then when I get to the middle, I should be at a vertical shade. Remember to go lighter and lighter the closer to the middle you get to change the value of your shade as you're getting toward the middle of the cone. All right, so like I said before, this shading should be a little bit familiar to you based on our Zentangle lesson. Now also, when we were doing our Zentangle lesson, we rubbed those shadings so that it would look very smooth. You can take your finger and you can rub on each of these shapes and really smooth out those shadings, and it really helps the value that you've created. If you don't want to use your finger because you don't like your finger getting messy, then all you need to do is grab a tissue or a Q-tip, and you can do the same thing with a piece of fabric or tissue. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed that. I really cannot wait to see how your creations turned out. So make sure to share a picture with me. Until next time, keep creating. Love you, bye.